Hello friends, welcome back to Keep It Real and Just Do You. Most of you who are watching now are watching because you are already my friend on Facebook and you're already following my page on Facebook, and I thank you for that. Some of you may be following my YouTube channel as well. A lot of views that don't go to subscribers, so I'd love for those of you who are checking it out to click that red, where is it? There. Click that red subscribe button there. I'd love that. I would love to see who's checking it out, even though I can only see the people whose information is not private, by the way. So I can only see about 12 of my 54 subscribers. Thank you for subscribing, and please continue to share me. I am going to pick up right where I left off last week. My episode last week was called Wait Well, and I'm speeding right to the slide where we ended. And I'm going to see how fast I can do this week's, because I noticed some of you nodding off towards the end. You can't do that. Wake up. Get your notebook out. Okay, so here's where we stopped. Yeah, big word. Religious belief. Like history itself is a story that is always unfolding, always subject to inquiry, and ripe for questioning. For without doubt, there is no faith. Well, let me tell you that I have always been a pretty good doubter. For as long as I can remember, the different beliefs of religions that I was exposed to gave me personally doubts. It wasn't the teachings of the churches that gave me the doubts, but it was some of the beliefs of the churches that gave me doubts. And I know now, and I want to share with you, the clear difference between beliefs and faith. This was my aha moment. The attitude of faith is the very opposite of clinging to belief. The very opposite of holding on. The attitude of faith is the opposite of belief. Fanatics do not have faith. They have belief. With faith, you let go. You trust. Whereas with belief, you cling. If you're my friend, and you must be, you're watching, then you know how much I love sharing good stuff. And I love that it doesn't have to be my words that teach my lessons here. I can use quotes and words of other people like I do every day to try to make a difference. And I understand the value of a well-stated thought. I also understand controversial terms well enough to know that the word fanatic carries often a negative connotation. Well, because of all of our doubts of some beliefs, we're kind of left feeling like we're still searching for answers. Kind of a there's more way of thinking. But y'all, sitting in that waiting room 2 weeks ago now, I was very quickly reminded that there isn't more. We all know everything we need to know to be happy. It's in every religion. When you look beyond the words that are passed down all over the world, when you look at the unifying concepts, the morals, the values, the things that each of us has within us, then you can clearly see the connection to faith and goodness. True faith is belief in the reality of absolute values. I used this slide last week too, but it's kind of a foundational thought. of what I'm trying to get across today. Now, I taught, believe it or not, a lot of you guys about absolute values in math class a few years back. Remember that? You know, if they're asking for the absolute value, then those answers are neither positive nor negative. They're just the absolute value. It is what it is, remember? But if you don't pause for just a minute when you're given one of those options, when you're given a problem, if you don't pause for a minute and think about it, you may forget that absolute value. And you may see the answer as positive or negative, right? It's going to be one or the other unless you see the absolute value. And if you can start seeing absolute values, then you can start having faith. Find the good. It's all around you. Find it, showcase it, and you'll start believing in it. A good day is a good day. A bad day is a good story. At the end of the day, it's all good. Take this metaphor as you will. But Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. understood what I now am beginning to clearly understand also. Fear and faith have something in common. They both ask us to believe in something that we cannot see. We have to stop waiting in fear. I learned that in that waiting room. You have to look for the absolute values in your story at that moment, in your circumstances. And you have to see the goodness that comes from your circumstances. You have to wait in faith by living a life that is true to your values, guys. If you see the goodness in others while you wait, and if you always give thanks for the goodness of others, then fear and faith cannot coexist. Sorry about the bad word, but not my words, right? Faith is what is left over after all of your beliefs have been blown to hell. That's fun to say. It's so true. It's so true. Fear comes from beliefs, y'all. Think about that. Write it down. Read it out loud. Fear comes from beliefs. Something you can't see. Beliefs and faith are not the same. They're opposites. You have to make your faith larger than your fears, and your dreams bigger than your doubts. Don't try to understand everything. Sometimes it's not meant to be understood. Just accept it. All's well in the end if you only have the patience to wait. But it's not just the waiting. It's how you wait. If you were one of my students in the last 10 years, you probably saw a video in my classroom, and it was pretty close to this time of the year, because it was right after that hump of February when everybody started slumping. And I always showed you this video to kind of give you a new perspective on thankfulness and life. So these are Nick Vujicic's words, if you remember him from my class. He was born with no arms and no legs. And if you've never seen a video of this man, type in no arms, no legs, no worries, and be thankful. But, in his words, if you are rejected, guys, just accept it. It's not negative. It's not positive. It just is what it is. But there's goodness in it. Somewhere, there's goodness in it. If you feel unloved, let go. If they choose someone or something over you, move on. There's so much more to you to be discovered. Remember that in every no from somebody, it's a yes to someone or something better. There's truth in that. And there's truth in this. In the end, we all become stories. And we've talked about stories in my other episodes. And we even talked about untold stories. We also mentioned those religious stories. And I gave you some statistics on the breakdown of the different faiths of the world. If you think of the story of Confucius, if you think of the story of Buddha, if you think of the story of Jesus, or Muhammad, or John Calvin, or Joseph Smith, or Plato, or Aristotle, or Socrates, think if their stories had never been told. If you missed my episode on Untold Stories, it was episode 5. Go back and check that out. But for now, stay strong, because your story is not over yet. I want you to wait well, friends. I want you to look for goodness. I want you to be good. And I want you to stay safe. Here are your resources. If you're still watching this and you know of resources, just take a second and look at what I have. If you're watching this and you know of a resource that someone in our area could benefit from and you'd like to share it, will you please PM me? I love you. Just do you. And I will see you next week.